Okay, so retirement planning, it can be a bit of a headache sometimes, right? I mean, everyone wants that feeling of security, knowing their savings are safe, but also hoping for growth at the same time.
Right. It's like walking a tightrope.
Exactly. And today we're taking a deep dive into this thing called the Delaware Life Momentum Growth Annuity. We're going to see if maybe this could be a solution. Now, full disclosure, just want to be upfront here. The stuff we're looking at comes from Diversified Insurance Brokers.
And they're annuity specialists, right?
You got it. So, always good to keep that in mind as we go through everything. It's like getting a restaurant recommendation, but from the chef.
Yeah, might be delicious, but maybe a bit biased.
Exactly. Got to be a little skeptical. That's healthy. So this momentum growth annuity, they call it, get this, a modified single premium fixed indexed annuity.
Catchy, right?
Yes, super catchy. But for those of us who, don't spend all day deciphering financial jargon, what does that even mean?
Right, so let's break it down. Single premium basically means you make one big payment up front. So no chipping away at it over time.
Nope, one and done. Think of it like planting a tree. You're putting all the resources in right at the start. Then there's fixed indexed, which means the growth of your money is linked to how well certain market indexes do.
Okay, so things like the S&P 500, that kind of thing.
Exactly. The S&P 500, even the Nasdaq-100, those are all in play.
So my money's kind of riding the market roller coaster, but with a safety harness.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It gives you that chance for market-linked gains, but with some downside protection built in.
So even if the market takes a nosedive, my initial investment is safe.
You got it. And with this momentum growth annuity specifically, you actually get to pick which indexes you want to tie your money to.
So I can be more aggressive or more conservative, depending on how I'm feeling.
Exactly. Or you can even go for a fixed interest rate if you want totally guaranteed returns, no matter what the market's doing. Okay, so there's flexibility, and I'm seeing that. But let's say things go south, like really south, and I need to get my hands on more than that 10% they allow you to take out without penalty in the first year. What happens then?
Well, that's where you have to be really careful. If you go over that 10% limit, you could get hit with what they call surrender charges.
And that's basically a fancy word for a fee.
Pretty much. It's like a penalty for taking your money out early. And on top of that, there's this thing called a market value adjustment.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good.
It means if the market is down when you withdraw, you might actually end up with less than what you originally put in.
Ouch. So not exactly what you want to hear.
Right. It's definitely not something you want to rely on for like emergency funds or anything like that.
So are there other types of annuities out there, ones that would give you more flexibility without all these crazy penalties?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important thing to think about when you're looking at any annuity. It all comes down to what your personal needs are and how much risk you're comfortable with. But going back to the momentum growth annuity, there are a couple of exceptions to those charges.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like if you have a terminal illness or if you need long-term care, things like that.
Okay, so there's some safety nets built in. That's good to know. Now, they also talk about this death benefit, which seems pretty straightforward, like bypasses probate and goes straight to whoever you choose to get the money.
Right.
But why is that such a big deal?
Because probate can be a real nightmare for your family. It can take forever and cost a ton of money. So this death benefit basically makes sure that the money transfer happens smoothly and quickly.
Right, so your loved ones get what you intended for them without any extra hassle. That's a huge plus. Okay, so now I want to circle back to this VersaGain tool they keep mentioning. How much customization does it really offer? Like, could someone actually change their whole strategy based on how the market's doing?
Absolutely. Imagine someone who's getting close to retirement and they're initially all about growth, right? So they might put a big chunk of their money into indexes like the S&P 500. But then as they get closer to retirement, let's say the market starts going crazy.
It happens.
It definitely happens. So they can use this VersaGain tool to move some of their money into something less risky, like the Barclays Aries Index.
Which is more about stability, right?
Exactly. It's designed to handle volatility a lot better. Or they could even put some into that fixed interest option we talked about, where they know exactly what they're going to get back.
So it's like having a little control panel where you can adjust things as you go.
That's a great way to think about it. And there's another big plus we haven't touched on yet, the tax-deferred growth.
Oh, yeah, taxes. Always got to think about taxes.
It's the one thing you can always count on. But with this annuity, your money grows without being taxed until you retire. So if you're in a high tax bracket now, that can make a huge difference in how much money you end up with.
It's like letting your money grow peacefully in a little garden. before it has to deal with the harsh realities of the world.
Exactly.
Okay, so last but not least, we got to talk about Delaware Life Insurance Company themselves. What's their track record? What about that reputation for financial stability they keep boasting about?
Well, you always have to do your own research, of course. Can't just take marketing materials at face value,
Of
right?
course not.
But from what I've seen, Delaware Life has been around for a while, and they have a pretty solid history when it comes to being financially sound and coming up with innovative retirement solutions.
Okay, so that suggests they'll actually be able to hold up their end of the bargain down the line.
Exactly. It's like knowing the bank you're keeping your money in has a good foundation.
That's definitely a good feeling.
Right.
So for someone listening out there, thinking about this annuity, what's the big question they should be asking themselves?
I think it comes down to this. Does this Delaware Life Momentum Growth Annuity really line up with what you want to achieve in retirement? Your risk tolerance, your whole financial picture, it all has to fit.
Like buying a pair of shoes, right? They might look amazing, but if they don't fit your feet, you're going to have a bad time.
That's a great analogy.
So do your homework, talk to a financial advisor if you need to, get some personalized advice. And remember, the world of retirement planning is constantly changing, so staying informed is crucial.
All right, that's it for our deep dive today. We hope this has given you some useful info to help you make smart choices about your financial future.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power when it comes to your money.
Couldn't have said